Okay, hi. Welcome to the Awakening Podcast. My name is Katie, and on this podcast, we're going to be talking about spiritual awakening, the human experience, how reality works, how your mind works, and all that really good stuff that not a lot of people seem to be openly talking about. But it is something very important that we all do start talking about and being more open about. And it's also really important that as a collective society that we all raise our vibration to a higher, lighter feeling and be more enlightened and let go of your ego a lot more. And I feel that is the end goal for humanity, is to not live through your ego and just to be your true authentic self. So I really wanted to make the first episode a really good foundation to how I want the podcast to be in further episodes. So I feel waking up to the human experience is a good baseline that we can all start to talk about and to see who else is experiencing this and kind of just all come together on a platform where the other viewers who are watching this as well are people who think very similar. But the truth is, the world is really changing. There are kind of two types of people on the planet if you take a backed up perspective and take time to look at this. But there are the types of people who, they're either closed off to seeing what reality really is, which is a spiritual being having a temporary human experience, and they fall 1,000% into the 3D lifestyle, which is taking life 100% seriously and doing your job and going home and having your family or whatever your daily routine is. You get lost in the game and lost in like the hustle or whatever that lifestyle is for you. But people do get lost in that society's game that has been set up for humans to live in forever. But ever since 2012, I feel a lot of people are starting to raise their vibration. I feel the whole planet as a whole is just raising their vibration to a higher standard. I mean, if you look around, you can see so many things that are messed up in the world. And I think those things are and experiences are happening so that for the people who are more awoke and understand life a little bit more on a deeper level, that took the time to do that, they can look around and see terrible things are going on, like World War III is maybe starting, who knows. Like you can see all these terrible things going on and all this negativity, and in a way I feel the world is coming to a point where it's going to get real bad before it gets real good, is what I think is going on. I feel it's got to get real bad so that a huge amount of the population wakes up and says this is not right, and then they know what is right from there. I feel derealization is something that comes along with having a spiritual awakening. I had my first real hardcore spiritual awakening the very beginning of 2019, and ever since then I have just been so passionate about learning more about how reality works and how your mind works and what even is life and just kind of like the universe and all that kind of stuff. I find that is so interesting. And you eventually get to a certain point, if you were not at this point already, that life is not that serious. We are spiritual beings having a temporary human experience, and our spiritual being is way bigger than we could ever imagine in this human form. But something very important that you need to keep in mind is that you chose to be here. None of this is an accident. And I know that deep down in my intuition is that you look around at this perfect planet that's designed perfectly for us living beings to walk around and breathe in this planet that's so beautiful with all the mountains and the lakes and the beautiful natural places on the earth. And it's like, who made this? Who created something so beautiful? It's not an accident. Everything is perfectly aligned. For another example is seeing the planet, how it's like perfectly aligned with all the other planets and just far enough away from the sun, and like everything just like break down to the T perfect just for us humans to exist. And as spiritual beings, we chose to come here to planet Earth. For whatever reason. Obviously, it's different for each individual soul. This is something I want to touch on in this episode as well, is a little bit of Dolores Cannon. She's somebody who I respect a lot. She has a lot of good work out there. She tested thousands of people throughout the world on all different sides of the world and would get them into their deepest level of meditation and ask them questions. Well, ask their subconscious mind questions. And then they would record the session, and she would ask them questions about the universe, God, what's the point of all this. She would ask them really deep, hard-hitting questions that your soul could answer, or your higher self can answer, I should say. whatever label you want to give it, I guess. And people all over the world would have the exact same answers. And she was able to piece together this story of life, how the world came to be, why humans are here, and just so much information. And it's really, very knowledgeable. But I feel the Generation Z and millennials, all of us group, may not relate to her content as much because of the quality, or because I don't find it aesthetically pleasing, but her knowledge is very, very powerful. So if you were to take anything I'd say from this podcast, is to look more into her work, because she's the one who really spent her whole life studying the topic of the universe. It's very, very fascinating stuff. But what I want to know is how many of you guys are experiencing this, because the last year of my life, the whole year of 2019, was very lonely for me, because I felt very out of place in a lot of categories of my life, because I just felt I was looking at life in such a different way that a lot of people were not, and I just couldn't relate to everybody anymore. I was kind of getting in my own head about that. I found the spiritual awakening process, the first year of it, being majority of the time very lonely, and I want to know who else experiences that, because when I was lonely and I was having this spiritual awakening, I would go to YouTube and look at other people's videos to see what they would say about it, because the mass society is not talking about this stuff, but yet this seems to be the most interesting thing in the world to me. How could it not be to other people? Like, why are you this human person? Why are you living this life? Why were you put on Earth? Why are we floating in a galaxy? Like, why? How are these questions not talked about, like, with people with a lot of power? But in a parallel reality where every single person on the planet was aware of who they were, and they knew their power, and they knew they could manifest anything, and knew they could create anything, any sort of lifestyle they want, because life is just a game. Life is just a mirror of your inner. Life is just a mirror of what's within. And what's within is just you and your higher self that's being projected down in this human experience. This is all just a reflection. It's all just an experience that we are here to live for whatever reason. I think the younger generation really did come here to help the planet evolve. If you look at generations before us, I mean, there was obviously some awakening movements that went down, like gay rights and, like slavery stopped, like all those big movements happened because people had awakening saying this is not right, how society is going, and a big movement would happen. Those are just examples, but I think it's very important to have a big movement again, because imagine a world where everybody knew the power is within them and that they're the creator of their life. It would fix everything, really everything. Money is just an energy exchange. It really is. I mean, the lifestyle you're living, look around your room, look around wherever you are. That's a reflection of the standard you've had up until this exact second. And at any second of any day, you can change your belief systems. You can change your standards. You can change your perspective. You can change your subconscious mind. Your mind is very powerful, and your quality of life is all within your little brain and all within your little head. And you're the creator of your mind. You're the creator of your life. You're the creator of your actions. It all comes down to you. You can never look at the outside world and blame other people. Even in moments of my life where I felt I was a victim, it's just like I somehow on a subconscious level attracted that because I had that standard somewhere in my subconscious energy, and that's where I attracted that. I see life as an experience. I don't see life happens to me. Life happens for me. Life is just a fun game, and stay grounded and stay in your reality. I'm not saying spend 24/7 in dreamland and imagination. I'm saying love the game of life, and whatever that is for you, whatever that is in your passion. If that's a career, if that's a hobby, whatever, just get in your passion flow state, because when you're passion flow state, that's when you're aligned with your higher self. Your passion emotion is like the best emotion. It gives you purpose. It gives you inspiration. And tapping into that passion state every single day is very, very powerful and can completely shift you into a totally different parallel reality, because every single possibility, every single outcome, every single reality that you could ever imagine and more exists at this very second. There is nothing ever new that you are creating. Everything always exists before you think of it. So the universe is way bigger than our human brains could even imagine. But with that being said, if every single possible outcome imaginable exists at this current second, then why don't you just become the version of you that you want to become? So imagine the version of yourself that you want to be. That version of yourself, what does that version of you look like? What does that version of you sound like? What does that version of you have for daily habits? What does that version of you have for belief systems? Like, what is going on in that person's brain? Absorb that emotion, absorb that vibration, and become that. And just say, okay, I believe that's it. That's it, sis. I'm now in that reality, and that's it. And stay grounded. I just want to let you guys all know something. If this is a new topic-ish for you, you're not alone in this at all. This is not a new thing I'm talking about. This is something that has been around for a long, long, long time, ever. But society just doesn't talk about it as openly as we should. And I feel the next couple of years, things are really going to be changing for that. I already see a lot more YouTubers doing this topics, because why not share this amazing gift of knowing how reality works, like, and how your mind works? Why not experience life to the best you can? This is all just an experience. Why don't we all just wake up and help each other? I don't understand why we all need to have wars, and not that majority of the people, it's actually a lot smaller percent of the people. I feel a lot of the good of the world is hidden through the average news and all that stuff, which is part of the way they gain control to keep you a little bit in the lower vibration emotions, which is why it's very important for you to pick and choose very carefully what you are consuming, because what you consume also impacts your subconscious mind. It's all kind of tied together. I know I said a lot of information at once. This is my very first podcast, so we're going to see how this goes. If this is something you are experiencing as well, feel free to follow or join the channel. And I'm going to be posting brand new videos every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we'll get into more deep life talks about different topics, all under the category of the universe. So we'll kind of see what happens. And I hope you all have a blessed day. I love you all. Thanks so much for watching and tuning in. All right, bye.